Good evening, afternoon or morning. Movie Cat is at the microphone. Today I will tell you about a film that vividly tells about an attempt to commit a crime in the name of good, from the author of the film Oldboy, Korean director Park Chan-wook. For your attention, a Korean drama thriller, Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance. Ro is deaf-mute. He really wants to save his sister, who has a severe kidney disease. However, the doctor tells him that Ro can't give his kidney to his sister because they don't have the same blood type. The doctor adds that since Ro has no money, his sister can no longer be kept in the hospital, and he must take her home. Once Ro has 10 million won, the hospital will find a donor with a matching kidney. In the toilet, Ro sees two huge guys posting ads for a company that buys organs. Ro works in a steel mill. After a difficult working day, he goes home to care for his sick sister. She screams in severe pain, and four young guys living behind the wall masturbate to these sounds, thinking that she is having sex with someone. The next day, Ro goes to see his girlfriend named Cho. She belongs to an anarchist organization and graduated from a school for the deaf a few months ago so she can communicate with her boyfriend using sign language. She tells him a joke about a man who thought he had two heads and both always hurt. The man, in order to get rid of this problem, decided to shoot off one of his heads. Ro does not understand the joke and only asks with gestures whether a person has shot off his left or right head. The next day, the plant's HR department fires Ro. Then Ro remembers about the announcement of the company that buys organs. He wants to sell them his kidney for 10 million won and use that money to buy a kidney for his sister. Taking one rose as a sign, Ro meets with representatives of the firm. They take Ro out of town, bring him to an unfinished abandoned building, go upstairs, where the escort guy puts a rose in a vase to replace the one has already wilted. A female surgeon who also runs the firm's business refuses to pay Ro 10 million won, but she promises to find a suitable kidney for his sister, of course after Ro gives them on one. An operating table, a lamp and a refrigerator bag are already prepared and are standing right here in the corner. Ro agrees when he sees that the surgeon is trying to inject a drug into his vein, but she can't get it with trembling hands. He helps her to do it. In a few hours, in an empty room, a rose lies on the floor, and next to it, a completely undressed Ro wakes up. Terrified, he realizes that he has been deceived. The scammers took his kidney, somehow sewed up the incision and disappeared. With great difficulty, Ro gets home in such a serious condition. A few days later, a doctor calls Ro from the clinic to tell him good news. A kidney donor was found for his sister. The doctor asks if Ro really has 10 million won. Ro nods. Cho goes into a rage after learning that Ro's kidney was taken away. After all, he has no money and now there is nothing to sell to save his sister. However, having calmed down, Cho offers a solution: to kidnap the daughter of the plant director in order to demand a ransom for her. Ro doubts this is a good idea. While the two of them are spying on the director, Cho tries to convince her boyfriend that, firstly, they are committing this crime for a good purpose, and secondly, they are good kidnappers, because having received the money they will return the girl back to the family. Bad kidnappers, when ransomed, usually kill the hostage, thereby discrediting in such a way good kidnappers, Cho said. She also believes that when the girl returns home after being kidnapped, her parents will love her much more than before. All these arguments act on Ro and he agrees. Following the director, Ro and Cho find out where the girl usually plays. Ro tells the child that he is a friend of her father, who is now very busy with his business, so the girl should spend a few days with Ro. He takes her to his home. To his sister, who knows nothing about the kidnapping plan, Ro explains that the girl is the daughter of his friend, whose wife had an accident today and died, but the girl does not know about it and therefore she does not need to be informed yet. Ro wants to take a picture of the girl so he can send it to her father, but she turns away and starts running around the apartment. Ro then gives her a homemade shell necklace in exchange for a photo and her doll. Some time later, director Park receives a 26 million won ransom demand, made up of newspaper clippings. Also, as proof that this is not a prank, the girl's doll and her photo are attached. In the morning, Park puts the money in a suitcase and goes to the place indicated in the letter. He decides not to contact the police so as not to put his daughter at risk. Meanwhile, Ro's sister finds in his pocket a statement from his account, which has only 6,000 won. Calling the plant, she learns that he was fired for absenteeism. Roo, at the appointed place, sneaks up on Park, hits him on the head and takes the suitcase with all money. With a smile on his face, he returns home. The girl watches TV and gestures to Roo that his sister is taking a bath. Roo is very happy because he finally solved his problem. Suddenly, the girl hands him a note from his sister. It says, "Theft of children has no justification, even if a kidney is needed. I hope you live happily. I love you. Goodbye." Terrified, Roo jumps on his feet and runs to the bathroom. There, in the blood-red water, he finds his sister, dead with cut veins. At this time, somewhere on an abandoned sports ground, Park comes to his senses, tied to a pole and with a plastic bag on his head. Roo puts his sister's corpse right in the back seat and goes to bury her by the river because that's what she wanted. Next to him, in the passenger seat, a girl is crying. Arriving at the river, Roo leaves the girl in the car and he goes down to the shore with his sister's body. There he covers the body with stones. Suddenly, some cripple comes and starts to interfere. Then Roo drives him away. The cripple goes to the car and tries to pick up and steal the necklace from the sleeping girl with a stick. The girl wakes up and she is scared. She runs out of the car and loudly calls Roo for help many times. But he is heartbroken and hears absolutely nothing around him. The girl spots Roo on the opposite shore and jumps off the bridge to swim across the river. However, she does not know how to swim, so in the middle of the river she goes underwater. Roo, having finished burying his sister, gets up, looks at the river and sees a girl who has been pushed by water to the stones. Roo rushes to help, but as soon as he steps into the water, he stops. Roo is afraid to go into the river because he is sure that he will be covered by water with his head. At this moment, the cripple goes to the girl. Water just covered his belt. Then he takes off the shell necklace and leaves. Roo understands that the water here covered him with his head only in early childhood, but now he has grown. However, it is too late. The girl has long drowned. The next morning, the locals find the girl's body and call the police. Park, when he sees his daughter dead, is beside himself with grief, hugs her body and makes a loud scream of horror. The 4 policemen barely tear him away from a girl's body. After the girl's cremation, Park falls into a deep depression. Sometimes it seems to him that in the middle of the room stands his daughter. Water falls from her body. She asks him, "Dad, why didn't you teach me how to swim?" Weeks later, Park's apathy turns into a burning desire to find whoever kidnapped his daughter. He has no personal enemies, so he assumes that one of the dismissed workers of the plant could hold a grudge against him. After checking out several former employees, Park finds himself on the doorstep of Roo's apartment. The door too is opened, and the apartment itself is empty. Neighbors say that a brother and his sick sister lived here, but apparently they moved out. Suddenly, Park hears on the radio as a DJ reads a letter from a radio listener about how he killed his sister and his life has now lost its senses. At the radio station, Park learns that Roo sent drawings along with the letters. On one of them, Park sees a man with green hair on the shore, and below in the river the body of a girl in a red dress. Then Park goes to the river and accidentally meets a cripple there. He has a shell necklace hanging around his neck, exactly the same as in the photo of Park's daughter. Park manages to find out from the cripple the car brand and its license plate in which the girl was brought here. Meanwhile, Roo decides to take revenge on the people who took his kidney. For this, his girlfriend Cho takes a rose and makes an appointment with the scammers to find out where their lair now is. The next day, catching the bandits by surprise, Roo kills one with a hit to the head with a bat and inserts a screwdriver into the second guy's neck. The surgeon, having removed a syringe from a vein, attacks Roo with a scalpel. At this moment, Cho is at home waiting for food to be delivered. The doorbell rings, she opens it and sees not a courier. Park ties her to a chair, licks her earlobes and attaches battery terminals to them. He wants to know where to find Roo. Cho does not tell him this, and then Park covers her with a blanket so that the scream cannot be heard and tortures her with electric shock for a long time. The doorbell rings. It is the courier who delivered the food. Very exhausted, Cho tells Park in a weak voice that they did not kill his daughter. It happened by accident. Also, she admits that she is a member of an anarchist organization and she already gave them a photo of Park. If suddenly something happens to her, they will come to avenge her. Hours later, the police find Cho's body tied to a chair with the body of the courier who delivered the food nearby. Roo, wounded by a scalpel, goes to Cho. At the house, he sees the police, and at the door of the apartment he finally understands what happened. He enters the elevator, and behind him coroners bring the stretcher with the body and put it upright. Suddenly, the sheet falls off and Rue sees the face of dead Cho. Insensibly to everyone, he takes her hand. Later, he gets into a car and thinks about what to do next. Meanwhile, Park arrives at Rue's apartment where he lived with his sister. Park breaks open the bars and goes to sleep in the most visible place. Later, Rue arrives, sees Park sleeping in the room through the open window, wants to quietly open the door, takes the handle and loses consciousness. Park removes the battery terminals from the door handle and carries Rue's body into the apartment. In the morning, Park brings the bound Rue to the river and drags him into the water. Park says that he understands Rue is not a bad guy, but he still needs to be killed. Park dives in and cuts both of Rue's Achilles tendons and then carries him, already bleeding, to a shore. While Park is digging a hole to bury Rue's body, 4 strangers unexpectedly arrive to the river. They first compare the photo they have with Park's face, then stab him many times with their knives and pin a judgment to Park's chest. After all, revenge is not always an isolated case. Sometimes it's a long chain reaction where every avenger in the next link becomes a victim. Thank you for watching. What do you think is the main idea of this film? I think director Park Chan-wook wanted to say that there are no noble crimes. Write your version in comments, press hearts and please don't forget to subscribe.